It was supposed to be a routine hearing. Another day in a federal courtroom where politics and justice often crossed paths like wary strangers in the night. But no one in that courtroom on a humid Monday morning could have predicted how dramatically the tide would turn, or how a single man's unchecked arrogance would unravel in front of the entire nation. The courtroom was packed. Reporters and spectators buzzing as U.S. Senator John Neely Kennedy stepped through the double doors. Known for his sharp wit and Southern charm, Kennedy had come not as a senator, but as a witness in a high-profile hearing on judicial overreacher, matter deeply personal to him. For months, he'd been sounding the alarm about a growing trend. Judges acting less like interpreters of the law and more like political activists. And today, he was prepared to speak truth, even if it ruffled feathers. At the bench sat Judge Edward Chen, a man with decades on the bench and a reputation for icy formality. But beneath that robe was a mind well known for dismissiveness, especially toward those who challenged his worldview. Some whispered about his disdain for conservative voices. Others said he'd grown too comfortable, too untouchable. What no one realized was that today would push him too far. "Mr. Kennedy," Judge Chen said dryly, as the senator took his seat, "I trust you'll keep your remarks grounded in reality rather than political theater." A few nervous chuckles scattered through the room. Kennedy didn't blink. "With all due respect, Your Honor," Kennedy said, voice steady, "I didn't come here for theater. I came here to speak plainly. That's what the people who elected me expect and deserve." For a moment, silence. And then Chen leaned forward, lips curling slightly. "Spare me the homespun metaphors, Senator. This is a court of law, not a campaign rally." The air in the room tightened. Spectators shifted in their seats. Kennedy smiled, thin but steady. "Well, sir," he replied, "this court might benefit from a little homespun truth." Judge Chen's eyes narrowed, and that was when it began. Unraveling what followed was more than tension. It was the slow burn of years of resentment, arrogance, and unchecked power finally coming to a head. Chen interrupted repeatedly, sneering at Kennedy's testimony, questioning his intelligence, even mocking his Southern accent. "You politicians," Chen scoffed at one point, "parade around with slogans and syrupy speeches, thinking you can lecture the judiciary. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in a real courtroom." Kennedy paused, looked at the judge with something between pity and resolve. "I wasn't elected to kiss rings," he said softly. "I was elected to call out abuse wherever I see it." At that moment, the courtroom shifted. Gasps rippled as Judge Chen stood from the bench, something rarely done, and pointed a finger at Kennedy. "You're out of line," he shouted. "This is my courtroom, and you will show respect." But the damage was done. The court stenographer, visibly rattled, had been recording everything, and among the crowd sat representatives from the Judicial Conduct Review Board, there to observe, not interfere. Until now, a low voice spoke from the back, "That's enough." Heads turned. A woman in a charcoal suit stood, holding up her credentials. "This hearing is now suspended under emergency conduct protocol," she announced. Chen sputtered, furious. "You don't have the authority." "I do," she said, stepping forward. "Judge Chen, by order of the Judicial Ethics Committee, you are being relieved of your duties pending formal review." "What?" Chen roared, voice cracking with disbelief. "You can't do this." But they could, and they did. 2 federal marshals entered from the side doors. One gently took Chen by the arm. The other announced flatly, "You're coming with us, sir." The entire courtroom watched, stunned, as the once untouchable judge was handcuffed and led away, protesting, still refusing to believe his power had limits. Kennedy remained seated, silent, watching with a mix of sorrow and vindication. This wasn't the victory he'd come for, but maybe it was the one the country needed. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, microphones pushed forward. Kennedy stepped up, cleared his throat, and spoke not like a politician, but like a man worn by the weight of truth. "Power," he said quietly, "without humility, is a dangerous thing." This wasn't about politics, it was about decency. about remembering that no one, no judge, no senator, no president, is above the people we serve. And with that, he turned and walked down the courthouse steps into the thick summer air, leaving behind a room where justice had, for once, caught up to arrogance. The footage went viral within hours. Chen's meltdown became a symbol, a cautionary tale of what happens when pride goes unchecked. And Kennedy, he didn't gloat, he didn't brag. Instead, he returned to his work with more resolve than ever, more letters from grateful Americans than he could count, and a quiet fire in his eyes that said, "The fight for truth is never done." And the message that echoed across America was clear: no robe, no title, no seat is too high to fall when it stands on pride instead of principle.